is happening? So the past 8 weeks, I have completely flipped my training. Instead of doing tons of volume, over 100-kilometer weeks, every single week in preparation for Berlin Marathon, instead, I have flipped the approach. What I'm doing is way more threshold runs, pushing past discomfort, VO2 track work, reducing the length of my easy runs, and so the total weekly mileage looks like I'm having a break. In actual fact, I'm doing a test to see how my body responds. In this video, we will go through the mileage mystery and what is the perfect approach for you to get faster at running. We all want it to be super simple, and the data does suggest that the more miles you run, the likely is that you're going to get a better outcome. However, this is not the case in every single instance. Especially as you get closer to your race day goal, you want to make sure that you sharpen up. You want to make sure that you're doing a lot of fast-paced work, threshold work, whilst total volume is slowly coming down. So let's find out what works best for you. Let's get into it. Since doing this new approach, I have since knocked down my half marathon time by 3 minutes, achieving a 75-minute half marathon, all the way from my previous best was just under 78, so we're going to call it 3 minutes. I also achieved my second fastest 5K in 16:34 in a park run the other week, and then tomorrow I'm hoping to film as best I can. I'm doing the Fulham 10K, and I do believe I'm hopefully going to be in PB shape. So it naturally got me thinking, I've reduced my mileage by 30 to 40%, and I'm seeing the best results I ever have in my running. Is this pure coincidence, or is this the way to go for all of you as well? In fact, I was so confident in this approach, I was gonna go super aggressive with this video and go, this is the way to train, it works. However, looking into the data, looking into the research and understanding my body better, I figured out, of course, the training you do previously, even a year in advance, is gonna contribute to your base building, is gonna contribute to your race times even today. So let's get into the actual science and what the data says. So first, in support of the mileage case, meaning that more running is better. You could just do all easy runs, but if you're running double than one of your friends, but they're doing intense workouts, you will get far better results. Reason being is you're building out your endurance, building out your base, and even if you never run at race pace, you'll be able to sustain your training for far longer and therefore be able to see results. Person B training too intensely will either get risk of getting injured or just have to stop from excess fatigue. Now, the research for this does support that if you go on law of averages, you look at this Bell distribution curve, if you're gonna hand select someone at random and person A was running more than person B, person A would get better results. That is on law of averages. If we look at unique cases, different people respond to different training stimulus. And this is where it gets interesting. If we then go on the other side of the argument and high intensity training, 50% reduced mileage, this is the way to go. Also going to argue this case if you are very new to training. Reason being, you see far quicker results when focusing on lactate threshold, VO2 workouts, rather than the base building phase lasts weeks and weeks, if not months, to even see improvements. So instantly going to high intensity work, you're gonna see changes to your body, changes to your time in weeks. However, you're also gonna lose it very quickly as well. So if you are feeling the fatigue, you take a few weeks out, you get injured, you're gonna feel like a complete yo-yo where you go to square one again, repeat the process, you progress, then come back down again, repeat the process. And is this truly the way to go to see long-term progress? And here's what I wasn't telling you at the very beginning of the video. Of course, I'm seeing these incredible results now, reducing mileage, really prioritizing intensity, but that's without looking at the marathon block I did before, where I was consistently hitting 110, 120 kilometer weeks in a true base building phase. And yes, I didn't get the marathon result I wanted, but arguably I should have tapered sooner. I did not feel fresh on the start line. That then delayed impact where I have reduced mileage. I'm now getting the race times I want. I'm now getting quicker. So I wouldn't see this if I didn't have that base foundation training in place first. And to further add to this argument, you could even look at the 2 marathon blocks in the year before that, where I did 2:49 in Valencia, 2:53 at London Marathon. And these are all the contributing factors to building that base. You want to see it as a triangle where you've got your pure base foundation and you're working your way up to lactate threshold, VO2, anaerobic, and you cannot have this top place in place without the bottom. This is what you call periodization, and it's something that you should definitely introduce in your training if you're targeting a fast race time. Here's how it works. For at least 12 weeks of your training block, you want to do what's called base building. That's slowly, incrementally increasing your mileage, building your aerobic foundation, developing injury resistance, building up your strength training because your recovery is going to be better because it's a lot more easy mileage before you get into phase 2, which is your sharpening phase. This is then going to last 4 to 8 weeks where you sharpen up the body, improve your lactate threshold, and start to increase intensity. This is where you see the fast gains, but in the case where you build the foundation first, you hopefully won't lose those gains super quick as well if you do stop training. You can periodize these lactate threshold sharpening blocks and introduce a deload week every 6 to 8 weeks where you just do easy running and then you continue that sharpening phase for another block. However, to remind you, you cannot sharpen what isn't there. You don't want to take the jump and instantly go into this phase. You need that initial base foundation. It is super important. So the question is, can I keep my training here? Am I going to continually see results? Tomorrow in my 10K race, we will find out. This will then be 8 weeks of consistent training at low mileage, high intensity to see if this is what truly my body requires to run faster. Click subscribe to see how I get on in my 10K race tomorrow. Understand that the debate is not mileage versus intensity, but using both tactically in specific periodized blocks so that it all comes together on race day. I'll see you on the start line tomorrow.